Hi, thanks for joining us. President Trump hosted NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House Thursday. The president has been a vocal critic of the military alliance, which took shape in the aftermath of World War II. When he was on the campaign trail, he suggested the U.S. would not jump in to defend its allies unless they spend more on defense.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
NATO countries agree to spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense. About two-thirds of NATO members met that target last year. During their meeting in the Oval Office Thursday, the Secretary General credited President Trump as several European nations commit to spending more on their militaries.
What happened the last couple of weeks is really staggering. The Europeans committing to a package of 800 billion defense spending. The Germans now, potentially up to $500 billion extra in defense spending. And I really want to work together with you in a run-up to the The Hague Summit to make sure that we will have a NATO which is really reinvigorated under your leadership, and we are getting there.
Finn Gomez joins us now. He's a CBS News Executive Director for White House and politics coverage. So, Finn, what was the tone of this meeting, given the president's previous comments about NATO?
You know, Lindsay, surprisingly, it was largely laudatory. It was very friendly, very complimentary. Both leaders spoke in very positive tones about each other and their respective interest in NATO throughout that meeting. And that, again, contrasting some of the expectations, especially, as you mentioned, Lindsay, that President Trump has long campaigned for not supporting those NATO members who don't hit that threshold, that 2% threshold that you were talking about. But the NATO Secretary Rutte, Secretary General, basically, he praised Trump for raising defense spending amongst those two-thirds of NATO countries. And again, despite the president saying just last week that maybe the United States should only defend those NATO countries that hit that threshold.
And during the meeting, President Trump was asked about his proposal to acquire Greenland from Denmark, which is a member of NATO. Let's watch how that played out.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting them potentially to...
Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security.
But when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that.
President Trump went on to question why Denmark had ownership of Greenland in the first place. I mean, what did you make of that back and forth, and is this causing strain with allies?
Well, it is, because if you remember, Lindsay, Greenland is an autonomous territory. This recently just had an election, but they are part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and of course, being part of NATO. So it really it gets into a very awkward position, if you will, for the NATO Secretary General when he discusses potentially annexing Greenland, because it could really trigger some levers within NATO that is something that the NATO Secretary General would not likely want to comment in that respective meeting. And just wanted to note that after those comments by President Trump, we did hear from the outgoing Prime Minister of Greenland, who said that Trump has once again aired the thought of annexing us. Enough is enough. Trump's statement from the U.S. is inappropriate and just shows once again that we must stand together in such situations. So yes, a little bit of a strain there, as you asked, Lindsay.
Finn, what did the Irish Prime Minister, who met with President Trump yesterday, tell CBS News about the ongoing trade war between the U.S. and the EU?
Yeah, Lindsay, I had an off-camera interview with the Irish Prime Minister, Michael Martin, who asked him about his reaction to the ongoing trade war and that reciprocal 200% threat by the president to impose more tariffs on European wines and alcohol, which of course was part of this tit for tat that we've seen back and forth with the EU and the United States. And he essentially said that there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, but he hopes the dialogue would resolve this issue between the United States and the EU, really saying that tariffs are damaging to trade, damaging to businesses, but also damaging, of course, to consumers. And they will only lead to an increase in prices for consumers. But he really strained the great relationship that the United States has with Ireland, and also said that overall his meeting with the president was highly positive. Lindsay.
Vin Gomez, thank you.